Hello, this is One Life to Collect. I'm showing off my world currency banknote collection. So I've got one video per binder. These are all countries in alphabetical order, so I've only got two more binders left. I'm saving Canada and the US to the very last, but hopefully you'll watch the other videos that preceded this. We ended with Syria, I believe. And so this one's probably going to pick up with T. So I'm right here. So these are Taiwan. And I'll repeat just if you haven't heard the last ones already, is I don't necessarily care about the condition. I'd rather have a low grade note in my collection than to not have it at all. And I'll look like something like this. I would obviously look to replace it with a better version of it down the road, but for now it holds a spot in the collection. So here's some of the newer Taiwan notes. This is Tajikistan, I believe. Some pretty small sized notes on these. And I try to sort them by kind of oldest series first, and then within each series, the denominations in kind of sequential order. So that's kind of how I typically sort these. So here's still Tajikistan. These are some of the newer ones. Well, 90s, I think, maybe. These are the newer ones. 1, 3, and 5. Very nice looking on the back. Here's Tanzania. These lighthouse binders. I'm not a fan of the bindings here. They tend to stay separated, so when you turn the page it pulls it out of the binder. It's annoying. Still Tanzania 2050 200 shillings. And these are newer notes here. Oh, I went too fast on that one. So here's 500, 1,000, another 1,000. Here is Thailand. That's my oldest Thailand note. I tried to kind of keep them in order of oldest to newest. And I tried to keep the different series together. But sometimes if it's a different, person on the front, it's hard to tell which, where one series starts and one series ends and the other starts. So I try my best. It's one of the newer notes as well. Nice, vibrant colors and images on the back. 50 and 100. So these are the newest ones here. 500. Here is Tibet. Very cool, very huge sized one. I think it's from the 40s, 1947 or something like that. Very, very cool. Wish I had more of those ones. Here is Tonga. Nice vibrant colors on those. This one especially. This is Transnistria. So it's not necessarily a recognized country, but has its own banknotes, and actually their coins are plastic. I think it might be one of the only places on Earth. And different shapes, I believe, too. Here is Trinidad and Tobago. So here's the oldest one I have of that, 1930. So if I have multiple versions, it's because they're just a different date on them. Or there's some kind of noticeable variation on them. I've said this on previous videos, I'm not one for different signatures. I don't necessarily collect or keep a different version of that just with a different signature. So I usually do either different date or different variation is the ones I'll keep. So there's 5 and 10. There's a 20. And here's the newest ones. We were just there a couple years back and we picked these ones up. 1, 5, 10. Colors are a bit washed out, I think, but for polymer, that is. So there's 20, 50, that's a special edition one, and then 100. We picked all of these up on our trip. And here's Tunisia. Very cool. And here is Turkey. So these ones are a bit hard to tell because they don't have dates on them. And they usually have the same portrait on the front. So I tried to put these in kind of chronological order by date, but I don't know. I could be wrong on these. So try my best. There's 50, 100, 1,000. 100, 500, and 1,000. So again, I think these are all different series. 5,000, 10,000, and then 20,000 and 50,000. There's 100,000, 250,000. Again, I don't know if you could find that denomination anywhere else. Here's 500,000. A million. Some hyperinflation there. And then here's some of the newer versions. So I think they just reissued the lira and cut some zeros off. So there's 5, 10, 20. And then actually I think this is the newest one, I think, 10. Here is Turkmenistan. So there's an old one, but here's 2 kind of newer ones. Very vibrant imagery on these for sure. And that's a newer one there. So now we're into the U's. So here's Uganda. Here's 5, 50, and 100 shillings. Here's another series, 5, 50, and 100. We're getting a little bit newer now, 10, 20, and there's a 5,000. There's 1,000. Another 1,000 with the security strip down the front, 5,000. And then 10,000. And it switched over to this one. This is what the newer ones look like. So 1,000, 2,000. Here is Ukraine. So I think these were, I forget what these were used for, but obviously these tiny kind of coupons all the way up to 2,000. So from 1 all the way up to 2,000. And then 5,000, 10, 20,000, and 100,000. These ones are interesting. Very classic design. Same with these. And here's kind of getting a little bit newer. There's the 1, 2, 5. So slightly different variations there. And then 10, 20, and 50. the 100. Although I think there's higher than that. It's just all I've got. Here's a UAE, United Arab Emirates. There's a 5, 10, and 50, I believe. Yeah, 5, 10, and 50. And then here's 100 dirhams. And then Uruguay. There's fractional currency up top, 50 cent. Rare to see the decimal point on a note. There's 5, 10, 50. Very intricate imagery on there. And here's 100, 500. And then here's 50, 20, 50. Again, it's oldest, and then newer version after that, and then 100, 200. I think these were the ones, yeah. These were what, when I went to Uruguay, Argentina, and Antarctica, I brought these two back in my change. So 100 and 200 is what they were using. And I think this is what the new one looks like, or I think maybe it's a special edition actually in polymer. 100, 200, 50 in polymer. And then this is Uzbekistan. Early 90s. And then here, very cool design. 1500. And look at these, the colors on these ones. So 200, 500, and 1,000. Really, really vibrant, nice designs. And 2000, I think it's the newest version. Very nice. Now we're into the V's. So here is Vanuatu. It's polymer note. 200 and 500. Here's Venezuela. It's my oldest one I've got. 10, 20. Obviously, they've been going through some hyperinflation recently, so this is long before that. So if I haven't mentioned it already, like these are probably all different dates on them. That's why I've got so many. These ones, I think I've got a bunch here, but some of them with sequential serial numbers in pretty nice condition there. Here's some fractional notes, I think. 20s, 50. Here's 500, here's 1,000. 50s, 500, 1,000. Here's 5,000, 10,000, so a bunch of those. And 20. So this is the end of this binder. Obviously, Venezuela continues in my last binder, so hopefully you're enjoying this. Let me know any feedback you have on these. And yeah, if you haven't checked out any of the other videos, please do. And now we're gonna go on to the very last binder in the collection. And then I'll do Canada and the US at the very end. Thanks.